Welcome to the UNA Baseball Review. Here are your hosts, Coach Mike Keene and Jeff Hodges.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the UNA Baseball Review. I'm Jeff Hodges along with UNA head baseball coach Mike Keene. Coach Keene, the UNA Lions 20-20 overall, 13-5 in your last 18 games, and you got 3 weekends left prior to the Gulf South Conference. Talk a little bit about what those weekends are going to entail and trying to get your team ready for conference tournament play.
Well, the biggest thing is, we got to stay really consistent. The way we put ourselves in our position, we got to be good in all aspects of the game. We got to be good on the mound. We got to be good defensive. We got to have timely hitting. If we don't have all three of them working, that's for us a lot of times it turns to being losses. So we just have to play really good. Pretty much every game is going to be really important to us, not only the weekend games but the midweek games, and we just to get us to start making a good push, we're just going to have to put it all together down the stretch.
As is often the case, the team that's probably playing the best during the regular season in the GSC does not particularly play that well come conference tournament time, and a lot of times that may be the first team out. So the Lions having gained momentum over these last several weeks, that's going to be important to you to maintain that going into the tournament.
Yeah, and I think that was, where, again, we always talk about it. We put ourselves such a hole that, we kind of climbed out of it, and we kind of evened ourselves up, went a little above 500, and now we need to kind of put a little cushion above that 500 going into these past weekends. And then, like I said, all the teams we're playing, they're all going to be pretty good, good competition. We're going to have to play well to do it, and we're going to have to do it, obviously, a couple of them on the road.
This past week, the Lions played a 3-game conference series against West Georgia. You lost that first game 5-2, and it was, as has been the case most of the season, you had to move that game. It was moved to a Friday night rather than Sunday that was going to be because of rain. But the Lions lost that game 5-2, and the big turning point, I guess, in the game, Brantley Claunch was hit by a line drive in the 3rd inning. You had to go to a different pitcher, and that kind of changed the momentum.
Yeah, it was partially more just you didn't know the scary moment because where it hit it, we didn't know where it actually hit him. We didn't know if it, where it was in the shoulder, the stomach, the chest, and when he went down, he actually picked the ball up and threw the guy out, and obviously we knew he was hurt. Fortunately for us, it ended up just missing his collarbone on the chest and cut a little bit of his fingers, but we're able to have sustained. We had x-rays, so nothing was broke, and his fingers seemed to be fine. So he should be ready to go this weekend. But like you said, it was tough then we asked Bradley Bailey to come in. I thought he did a good job under the circumstances and really kept us in the game. That guy on the mound, the Skinner kid that was throwing for them, I tell you, he was throwing well, threw the ball hard, and later in the innings he started getting his off speed. So he has secondary pitches he didn't have early than he did late, and he threw 140 pitches in a complete game. So, you got to give him credit. He threw a heck of a game.
Yeah, Skinner pitched a great game for West Georgia. UNA turned around on Saturday in the doubleheader. You got a great pitching performance from Riley Sanderson. You stayed with your normal rotation of Riley pitching the 2nd game, but that's typically a 7-inning game, and he went out and gave you a 9-inning complete game performance.
Yeah, he pitched really well. I think coming off the UH series, he was ready to kind of get back into it, and he was a little bit not quite as sharp early on, and then, Coach Hancock got him to slow down, and once he slowed down and just started pitching, I think about the 3rd inning on, he was extremely dominating and really shut them down. And that's really, we needed that. And then I thought, we were able to get some hits and get that win. And I felt that game was a really big win to get us some, going into that final series.
And Riley only gave up 6 hits in that game. Had Jake Ward 3 for 4, Kyle Conkle also with 3 hits, and Thomas Lundborg, who's been hitting the ball pretty well for you, had 2 hits in that game.
Yeah, he had some big hits. He's been having those in the 9-hole, and this is one thing I think he's been obviously this year a lot better hitting with runners in scoring position. He had some big hits, knocked in a couple runs, and that really helped us increase the lead that we needed. So good game for all those guys.
Final game of the series, the Lions win the series, a 2-1 win. Kyle Conkle, 5 strong innings, gave up a run in the 1st, but nothing after that, and you were able to pull out the 2-1 win.
Yeah, it was that game was a really quick game, a really good game, very well played. I thought defensively we played tremendous that game. We didn't make any mistakes defensively, and Kyle Conkle really battled. His control wasn't as fine, and he was asked to do something that doesn't happen much. He pitched a conference game on Monday, then turned around and throw another one on Saturday, so it was kind of unusual that happened. So he had a little bit shorter rest, but I thought he battled through that and pitched well, and so did their guy. And again, typical of what's been going on our field, the ball just there wasn't a lot of carry in the air. The ball was kind of a dead air day, so fly balls were out, and you really had to manufacture run. And with the safety squeeze and an RBI by Boston was the difference in the game.
The Lions lost a midweek game at Alabama A&M 9-7. A&M now coached by former UNA player Mitch Hill, and they got 7 runs early. It was hard to overcome, but the Lions fought back in that game. But after having given up just 1 home run all season, you gave up 2 in that ball game, and that was kind of a difference.
Right, and like I said, Kyle Stevenson, who's been doing a pretty good job midweek, and that's unfortunate for us. He was a little bit off, and they got a good offensive team, and he, was able to not really have his breaking ball was consistent. So he tried a couple change-ups and missed up in the zone. The wind was blowing out, and they got some guys that got a little pop in their bat and put us in a hole. I think I was saying, we're in the third inning, we're already down 7-0, but I thought, we really fought back. Kept getting within 3, then went back with 5, then came within 3, came within 2. We just ran out of innings to get it done. So a disappointing loss in that game. But I thought our guys at least they trained, they battled back and at least made it a game.
We'll take a quick break and we'll have more Lion baseball for you when we come back.
TNT Fireworks is proud to support the University of North Alabama and the Lion baseball team. Like the UNA baseball program, TNT Fireworks is committed to excellence. Our product, service, and teamwork are the reasons we are America's #1 selling fireworks brand. Check us out at tntfireworks.com. And remember, if it's not TNT, it's not fireworks. TNT Fireworks encourages the entire Shoals area to support head coach Mike Keene and his UNA Lions by attending a game at Mike D. Lane Field. Roar Lions!
What's going on up there?
Welcome home, Chuck. This is all for you.
Oh. Are you serious?
Lieutenant Chuck Nag home.
I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain walk.
Welcome back to the UNA Baseball Review. I'm joined now by UNA pitching coach Matt Hancock. Coach Hancock, the UNA Lions 20-20 overall, as we mentioned, 13-5 in the last 18 games. And I know your pitching staff has been pretty consistent all season. You got a 3.91 ERA, which is pretty good at this point. But I think the biggest thing was just maintaining confidence through those early part of the season where we weren't scoring any runs, yet we were getting some good performances.
Yeah, we've been consistent from day one, and that's what we preach and that's what we want. I kept telling the guys early on in the season that even though we weren't winning ball games, they had to keep doing their part. And when we did find the offense and things started clicking, we had to make sure we were doing it on our end so we could get some wins.
A lot of things changed for you this year from the off season or from the fall season to the spring. You lost a couple of guys and you've had some injuries you've had to overcome, but basically your starters have been doing a great job for you. And we'll start with Brantley Claunch. Brantley 3-4 right now, a 3.61 ERA, and this is a guy that only had made one start in his previous 2 years at UNA, and he's really transitioned well into that role for you.
Yeah, Brantley did a great job out of the bullpen his true freshman year, and he didn't have the sophomore year that he wanted to have last year, but he, we started him in a midweek game against Montevallo last year, and he seemed to really relish that role, and he was a guy that we knew would compete for that starting position, and he's come in and he's done a fantastic job.
And he's got 10 starts this season, 2 complete games, and he actually leads the team in innings pitched at 62 1/3 and with 40 strikeouts.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's going to overpower you, but he's going to fill the zone up. And when he executes enough pitches, that's when you get the strikeouts, and he'll keep guys off balance for 6 or 7 innings, sometimes 8, and he's going to compete every time he goes out.
And Brantley transitioned from the bullpen to the starting role. Riley Sanderson, equal transition, I guess, transitioning from midweek pitcher to being the guy you counted on those conference weekends. And Riley 5-5 this year, 4.0 ERA. He's got 10 starts, 3 complete games, and he's really developed over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's a lot more consistent this year. And the biggest thing with Riley was his true freshman year. When he had the elbow injury, he got a chance to get out there and get his feet wet. And that was kind of our chance to say, hey, look, told you so, you got some adjustments to make. And last year he made those in the middle of the week role and came back and had as good a fall as anybody and earned that starting slot on the weekends.
He was 3-3 last season, a 2.79 ERA, and of course that wasn't against the type of competition he's facing this year. And as evidenced last weekend, a 9-inning complete game against West Georgia was a great performance.
Yeah, I think, even with Brantley too, the biggest thing with Riley is every week's a learning experience. He'll go out and he beat Delta State early in the year and held a West Florida team down pretty good. And then they'll have an off weekend like Huntsville, but he gets back up and he learns and he keeps moving forward. And that was a big step for him to go 9 innings last weekend.
And another adjustment for you and the team, Cade Medley going into the season as your #1 starter. You lost him after the 3rd week of the season. Mm-hmm. He's just now working his way back in, but that was a big blow, and a lot of guys had to step up to fill that spot.
It makes it tough because when you look at it, we really lost all 3 starters from last year. When you take Cade out of the equation, and that's something that we thought we had an all-region, possible All-American guy coming back for us. And Unfortunately, he hasn't been healthy, but hopefully we can get him going towards the end of the year.
Yeah, Cade, just 7 appearances now, 4 starts for you early in the season, but he has made 2 pretty good relief appearances in the last couple of weeks.
He's going to be okay as long as his arm's healthy, and he's got a little tendonitis, and that's like a bad sprained ankle or a bad back for those who don't have arm problems, and it just kind of lingers, and it's kind of a pain to deal with. But hopefully we can get him healthy because we know he can throw strikes, we know he's got good stuff, we know he's going to compete.
You got Kyle Conkle, and you knew you were going to throw him this year. You were going to kind of limit it a little bit because he's coming off of surgery, but he stepped in that number 3 starter role, and he's really done a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was tough for Kyle because early on in the year we knew he had good stuff. We knew he had the stuff to get guys out, but we weren't real clear on what his role was going to be with him. We were asking him to play first, we were asking him to DH, we were asking him to come out of the bullpen. Now you're going to start this game. No, you can't start this game because now you got to go do this. And he was all over the place. And then it was like, hey, Kyle, you're going to start on the weekends, and he's really done a good job. Again, it's a learning experience every week, but I know one thing about him, he's really going to compete, and he's kept us in every ball game he's pitched. He's
our only hitter hitting over 300, and it's a difficult role, I guess, when you play a position every game or DH or even DH in the game that you're pitching. You had a guy, Brian Jenkins, that played with you that kind of managed those roles, but it's not something that's real common in the UNA program or in the recent years.
It's not common, and it's not easy because they've got to get that work in every single day. They got to get their offense in, their defense in, and then all the pitching stuff with me. So it's a tribute to Kyle that he's able to lead us, at the plate and be a big contributor on the mound.
Kyle 3-3 right now, a 3.40 ERA, 9 appearances, 7 starts, so doing a great job there. We'll talk a little bit about your relievers, and Austin Carpenter win the season, perhaps being expected to be the closer, but Jacob Westerhouse has really taken that over. And this is a guy, that whole freshman class from 2 years ago had great freshman years. They all kind of struggled last year, but Jacob's really on target this year.
Yeah, that sophomore slump, hit Jacob, and we thought last year was going to be the year he really took off, but it was, just a year later, and he's been tremendous. I don't know of another reliever in the conference that I'd like to have out there other than him in crucial times.
He leads the conference with 23 appearances, 38 in the third, innings pitched, a 1.41 ERA, so you couldn't ask for more. That's your left-handed reliever, Bradley Bailey, a freshman. You've asked a lot of him this year, too, and he's gotten quite a few appearances and done a pretty good job.
Yeah, we just asked Bradley to go out and throw strikes. That's the biggest thing. We kind of put him in that role that Claunch was in 2 years ago, come out of the bullpen, give us 2-3 innings if needed, and throw strikes and keep us in the ball game. And he's had some great outings. He came in against Valdosta State early on and faced 9 hitters and retired 9 hitters in a row. And that's the kind of performances we need from him. But again, he's a true freshman, and he's learning every day he gets out there.
Your midweek starters this year, Kyle Stevenson, 7 starts, he's 2-3. Jake Smith, 2 appearances, 2 wins. Those were a couple big wins for you.
Yeah, Jake's got really good stuff. He's an 86, 88 mile an hour fastball. He's got a big time breaking ball. Haven't been able to work a lot with him in the bullpens because he's our everyday right fielder. But he did a good job early on. And then Kyle Stevenson's really, he's been put in a tough position. He had ulnar nerve surgery this fall, and it's been kind of a rehabilitation process and asking him to pitch while he does it because of our limited numbers. But he's done a good job, and he hasn't turned the corner complete, and no one's really seen how good he can be. But there's no doubt that he'll get there by the end of the year, and I think he'll have a really good year for us next year.
With the Lions struggling at times to score runs this year, the double play has been the pitcher's best friend. UNA with 36 double plays this season, but a lot of that comes back to the pitchers getting the ground balls to get those double plays.
Yeah, it's kind of the old, sometimes you're giving up the C&I ground ball and guys get frustrated when it goes in the 6-hole or 4-hole, and you say, hey, that ball's 4 or 5 feet to the right or left, we got an out. And you give up a single or you give up a hit, you say just throw that pitch again in the same location, and odds are they're going to hit it to somebody, and they've done a good job of it, and our defense is taking advantage of it.
We'll take a quick break, and we'll have some player profiles for you when we come back.
TNT Fireworks is proud to support the University of North Alabama and the Lion baseball team. Like the UNA baseball program, TNT Fireworks is committed to excellence. Our product, service, and teamwork are the reasons we are America's #1 selling fireworks brand. Check us out at TNTfireworks.com. And remember, if it's not TNT, it's not fireworks. TNT Fireworks encourages the entire Shoals area to support head coach Mike Keene and his UNA Lions by attending a game at Mike D. Lane Field. Roar Lions!
He is the most interesting man in the Shoals. He is an artist, a writer, a philosopher, a historian, musician, astronomer, wine connoisseur, environmentalist, Peace Prize recipient. When he speaks, people hang on each and every word, especially the verbs. His personality is so magnetic that he cannot carry credit cards. It is said that once he taught a German shepherd how to bark in Spanish. and taught a horse to read his email. Someone recently asked him what he did for fun, and here is what he said.
I don't eat out every day, but when I do, I eat at City Hardware because to me, it's the most interesting restaurant in the Shoals.
Welcome back to the UNA Baseball Review. It's time now for our player profile segment. And Coach Keene, today we're going to be looking at 3 newcomers for the Lions, starting with Kyle Stevenson, a guy that's stepped up and been important to your pitching rotation, especially in the midweek games this year.
Yeah, it's like we just talked to earlier. You know, Kyle coming off of that ulnar surgery and just do the thing. We try to fire to get a guy in there because of with Medley's injury, that kind of forced us to make some moves. And like I said, he's had times when he's been really good. I know that Montevallo midweek game that we won, what we really needed, he pitched about as good as he did this year as about anybody. He had a great outing that time, and he's been, good at some times, and it's just sometimes that happens. They get a little inconsistent. We get more consistency out of him. Very good junior college pitcher, great student. Is going to continue to work at it. We know he's got the stuff that is going to continue to help us, and obviously he's going to be still getting out there, and hopefully if we can make a good run in the GSC tournament, he's had a lot of experience and he can help us.
7 starts this season. The only ones with more are your 3 conference weekend starters. So Kyle's seen a lot of work for you this year, 2-3 record.
Right, and that's, like I said, that's one of the good things. He has kind of been thrown into the fire, and he's had to get a lot of work for us, and like I said, hopefully it'll help us down the stretch.
New catcher for you, Brett Moore, junior from Ashford, Alabama, and he's hasn't seen as much work this season because Thomas Lundborg's been playing very well lately, but Brett, very important to you as well.
Right, yeah, and he's transferred from Chipola. He's a guy that's had some some arm issues when he was at Chipola. Very good athlete. Has got some games for us. Has been able to get some games, and one thing that difference is when we had Peyton catching earlier, then was doing such a good job of throwing runners out, and Thomas is able to hit. Kind of allowed him to not get as many opportunities as probably he'd like. But he also is one of the fastest guys on our team. I know that's unusual for a catcher, but we put him in and he's been able to get in and get some running in, and late inning games, we'll get him in there and get his speed into the game. It was one of the games we tied up at UAH. He was over and we brought him in at first base, and when they made a mistake in coming around, having him in the base, when he got to second base, having his speed allow us to score that run. So he's an important part of us, works in the bullpen, but he also gives us that good speed off of the bench that a lot of times you don't have.
Then Austin Carpenter, a sophomore from Fort Payne. He's seen quite a few performances for you this season and been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he's another one. He had Tommy John surgery a year ago. And a lot of times they take it about a year before it really gets 100%. And as you can see the season now, as it continues to progress, you can see how much more confidence getting, how much tighter stuff. And I thought when he came in for the UH, it was probably one of the better outings he's had. Good velocity, really run up there upper 80s. Slider had a little more depth on it than it has. And then he did the same thing again the other day when we asked him to come in against at Alabama A&M and just basically shut it down. Having him and Jacob Westerhouse has really made our bullpen really strong. We kind of reversed the roles, but now we know we got both guys coming in at any time, and he's been real good where he can throw a couple innings and come back and throw another inning, and also coming to throw a midweek game. So it's nice to have him coming out of the bullpen. The other good thing is he's only a sophomore, so we know he's got a good future with us in our program. 17
appearances, just a 2.45 ERA, and as you said, he and Westerhouse have kind of switched roles, but that middle relief is really just as important as the closer because you don't get those closing opportunities if you give up runs in the middle innings.
Right, and I think that's the thing he's been allowing us to do. Now you feel real comfortable with that. That's why I said if we can kind of get a lead or get a chance where we get it close, we know when we bring those guys in, it's pretty much going to be tough for them to score any more runs. So it gives us a chance to either win the game or at least get us a chance where we can score the runs and come back and win a game. So they're both very important.
We'll take one final break and we'll come back with some information about the Gulf South Conference race in just a minute.
TNT Fireworks is proud to support the University of North Alabama and the Lion baseball team. Like the UNA baseball program, TNT Fireworks is committed to excellence. Our product, service, and teamwork are the reasons we are America's #1 selling fireworks brand. Check us out at TNTfireworks.com. And remember, if it's not TNT, it's not fireworks. TNT Fireworks encourages the entire Shoals area to support head coach Mike Keene and his UNA Lions by attending a game at Mike D. Lane Field. Roar Lions!
Hi, I'm Mike Keene, head baseball coach at the University of North Alabama. Have you ever heard the saying, great baseball players are made in the off-season? As a college baseball coach, I can tell which high school recruits are on a weight program and which ones are not. Help your young athlete reach the top of his sport by training with the personal trainers at the Courthouse Racket Club. Our 5 trainers are ready to work at your athlete's pace and your schedule. Try our 3andMe training program designed for 3 athletes to work with a trainer and lower the cost to fit any budget. Call Ken Irby at 764-0034 to set up a program designed especially for your young athlete. The Courthouse Racket Club, proudly serving the Shoals for 30 years.
A great combination, Frostbite and Montague's. Florence's first self-serve yogurt shop has over 50 rotating flavors and over 100 rotating toppings. Customizable frozen yogurt. When the cup is full, the toppings are close by. Just weigh and pay. All sandwiches at Montague's are under $5. The best Philly cheesesteak and Reuben in town. Delicious sides, and they cater. Get a UNA student discount, and they accept the main card. Like Frostbite on Facebook. Frostbite and Montague, 1611 North Pine Street, Florence. Open now. Frostbite on the UNA campus.
TVA Community Credit Union is proudly open to the entire community, offering unequaled service and convenience.
They are the TVA Community Credit Union, and they make you feel like you're part of the community, part of the family. Customer service is great. I mean, they're great with my wife and I, and my daughter.
We bought all of our houses, all of our cars, everything through them. With a little one running around, I don't have a lot of time, so it's real simple just to pull my mobile up and go straight to the site and check my account.
I recommend them all the time, to be honest with you. For one, I mean, their rates are great. Try to work with you to get you the lowest rates, to get you where you need to be, to set you up for the future. Don't feel like I'm a number at all. I feel like I'm a part of the family.
From mobile banking to the latest platform in online banking, we make managing your financing fast and easy. Our members are the owners of our credit union, so there are no high-priced stockholders to pay, allowing us to give our members totally free accounts and amazing loan rates. TVA Community Credit Union, everybody's credit union.
Welcome back to the UNA Baseball Review. We want to take a look at the Gulf South Conference race now. And Coach Keene, as opposed to some previous seasons where you had to fight to earn your way into the conference tournament, all 8 full-time members of the GSC will be in the conference tournament. So you're really playing for seeding. And the Lions, with 3 weekends left, the 2 conference weekends left, have a chance to alter that a little bit. But the one good thing is you don't have to worry about making the tournament.
Yeah, you know, it is a good thing, you know, but yeah, like I said, you want to really put yourself in a much better position, try to climb. And I know, you know, we've got 2 weekends to try to maybe get up one more spot. You know, it's going to be tough to move much into the top 4 just from looking at where everybody is and the lack of some haven't played as many games as we have. So we just got to try to have the last weekends and, you know, kind of push us up as high as we can. And then, but like I said, the way looking at this conference, all the teams have got a pretty good number 1 pitcher. So I said, I think that first round game, I don't think it really matters who you're going to play. It's going to be tough.
Before we look at the standings, since you alluded to it, but the Lions have not lost a single game this year to weather. And this has been the craziest weather year I think anybody can ever remember. But moving games around, changing locations, changing days or times, but you've been able to get in every game that was on your schedule this season. That's pretty remarkable.
That is. You know, I didn't even dawn on me that it happened because everybody else is wanting to try to pick up games. They need to add games. They need to get them in. And here we are that we haven't missed a game. Now, it's been a lot of work. It's been moving games. It's been a little stressful trying to figure out for 2 days of work and trying to move them. But that was really the whole idea, allowing us to move, was to so everybody can. Now, you know, we've been able to get it done now that not some of the other teams have not been able to move or have not got their games in. But as far as, you know, us, and I think there's only, you know, maybe 2 or 3 other teams that have played all their games.
Looking at the conference standings, West Florida 17-3 right now, leading the conference. They're number 2 in the nation. Delta State right behind them, 19-4. They're ranked number 6 in the nation. So a typical GSC season with some teams right at the top of the national rankings.
Right, and those, you know, both those, obviously West Florida came out of the chute playing really well, and they've maintained it. Obviously, very good pitching. I know they've had a couple injuries that they've kind of fought through and really fought that off, and now they're back to being, you know, full health. Delta State was probably, you know, had a really big turnaround. They started off a little slow, and they've been on a real roll. So, you know, I think they play the last weekend series, so that'll obviously be a good matchup. But obviously, those 2 teams are going to be the favorites going into the GSC tournament.
Alabama, Huntsville 14-7 in 3rd place, followed by West Alabama 11-8. Valdosta State 12-10, then UNA 10-14, then West Georgia and Christian Brothers at the bottom. If the tournament was held today, UNA would be matched with Alabama, Huntsville, so that would be a good match for UNA. But like you said, hopefully trying to move up a little higher. The tournament going to be held in Birmingham, going to be played at UAB for the first time.
Yeah, that's you know, it's one of those. which ever since we left USA Stadium when the Arkansas schools left, we really haven't had a specific site. It's been moved. We know it was in Rome, Georgia, it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee last year, and then this year it's going to be in Birmingham, and it's scheduled to be playing at UAB's facility. There is talk about trying to get, I believe it's Regents Park, maybe the championship game there, but I don't think that's been confirmed. But we do know it will be in Birmingham, and we'll be at UAB, and that's really what we get confirmed right now.
The Lions been on the road quite a bit lately, but you got a 5-game non-conference homestand, or I guess a 4-game now, switching a Stillman game. But the Lions going to be hosting Montevallo on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. They were a team nationally ranked early in the year. When you beat them at their place, that kind of turned your season around and got you headed back in the right direction.
Yeah, that was really probably from where we are, and it was one of the best games, we played all year completely, had good pitching, timely hitting, and just played really good defense against a very good team. And, Montevallo's, they're in the Peach Belt, which is a very good conference. So, and right now they can still score runs. They just have a little struggles in the pitching staff and holding teams down. But I know they got a very good ball club, and, especially, they compete right in that conference like the GSC. You get beat up sometimes just playing all the good teams over and over again.
The Lions played 12 of their first 17 games this season against nationally ranked teams. Might need to check with the head coach and see why on an open conference weekend you schedule the number 3 team in the nation to come in. But Lander, a team with a phenomenal 31-6 record, number 3 in the nation, they're coming in for 2 games next Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I just figured we've been playing other top 10 teams. We might as well play another one. But no, it came about. That was Easter weekend. That was our bye weekend. Really a tough weekend to find anybody to play. It was one of those that knowing Montevallo, I asked them who in the Peach Belt had their off weekend, and it happened to be Lander. And I knew they were a good ball club. Didn't really, never known going in. I didn't know much about it, but they were willing to come here and play, get 3 games in, and so we put it down. And obviously, looking back now, they're going to be a tough opponent. And then Stillman was looking for a game, so that's how they kind of got in the mix. They were off that weekend too, so that's kind of how we got Stillman coming over. So it'll be Stillman will play a game. We'll play 2 games, and obviously it'll be a very challenging weekend, and nothing we haven't been through already this year.
That Saturday game going to be senior day for you. Drew Batchelor, Josh Carpenter, Will Dennis, Thomas Lundborg, Cade Medley, Bradley Nolan, Matthew Tittle, and Jake Ward. A good group of seniors for you that y'all be recognizing on Saturday.
Right, and it's been kind of probably for some of them disappointing because you have 3 of those seniors. 2 of them got injured in the fall. Will's been able to get back and help us. Matthew's still trying to get back. He's getting closer every day. Getting into April. Then of course Cade and then Drew Batchelor all had kind of injuries that sustain them from doing what they want to do. But you got the other guys that have done a good job. Thomas Lundborg jumped in there and did a really good job. Obviously Ward and Nolan been real consistent all year long. So it's a good group of seniors, and hopefully we'll have good weather, get them out there and acknowledge them and recognize for their accomplishments. And the one thing about this group is they're all really good students. We have a couple of them already graduated. Will's in grad school, so it's kind of. And then I know Josh Carpenter is going to graduate. I know there's just a very good student-athlete group in that with those seniors. And
several players we want to mention, but Kyle Conkle hitting .350 for you. Started all 40 games. He's had a great year, but Bradley Nolan started all 40 games. He's .288 for the year, but he's been probably your most consistent hitter the whole season. Everybody else has kind of been up and down a little bit. He's been right there for you the whole time.
Right, and I think that's where Bradley, he had a really good game against A&M, and he's with his speed just consistent all, and we've needed that, and he's they fulfilled that 5-hole, and when he took it over, he's been there for a long time now.
Brett Guzay, another guy, just 7 errors and 199 chances this season, and just really done a great job for you defensive. Been very key in those 36 double plays that your team has turned this year.
Right, yeah, and we knew that. He was a very good defensive player at Calhoun and just competes really well and just has done a great job, both him and Josh Carpenter up the middle.
Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you here again next week.
Thank you for watching the UNA Baseball Review. Please join us again next Sunday at 11:30.